Bonjour les élèves. Today we're going to learn how to tell time in French. I'd like you to title these notes "À quelle heure est-il?" which is the way of asking what time is it. So let's take a look at how to answer that question, "À quelle heure est-il?" So, "À quelle heure est-il?" You need to memorize that is how you would ask the question. Now we're going to look at two different ways to tell time. The first one is if the minutes are not more than 30. So if we're talking about like 1 o'clock to 1:29. If the minutes are not more than 30, you're going to use this formula. You'll start with il est, which you'll remember is how to say it is, the number of the hour, the word heure, and then the minutes. Or, in some circumstances, it might be a special phrase that I'll teach you in just a second. So we'll start with il est, have a number, the word heure, the number of minutes, or if it's quarter after or half after a certain phrase. I do want to point out the fact that I have heure there in parentheses, and that's because if it's any hour after 1 o'clock, you're going to need that S on it. But because 1 o'clock is literally just 1 hour, we don't need to have the S on the word heure. Remember, you won't actually say that heure, that S on the word heure, unless a vowel follows it. Okay, so when we give the time, we'll say il est, a number, the word heure, minutes, or a phrase. Some examples of that. If we want to say it is 3:10, we would say il est 3:10. So look, we start with il est, it is, the number of the hour, 3, the word heure, and then the number of minutes, which is 10. Notice that with 3, you do say the S like a Z because the letter H actually follows it. So it might be good in your notes if you wanted to. You could maybe draw like a little line to link that S to the H and put a Z under it, just to help you remember it's 3 heures. So any of those S's, you'll make a Z sound before the word heure. All right, let's look at this example, 1:23. So if we're going to say it's 1:23, we would say il est 1:23. Notice we don't have the S on heure because it's 1 o'clock. So the number of the hour, the word heure, and then the number of minutes. Now those special expressions or phrases, if it's a quarter past, we're going to use un quart, which is literally saying and a quarter, and half past, which is et demi, which is literally saying and half. You might remember the word demi from demi-sœur, which literally meant half-sister. So here's an example. If we're going to say 2:30, it would be il est 2:30. The French are less likely to say 2:30 for 2:30. They're less likely to say that. They're more likely to say il est 2:30. Or if it's 11:15, we would say il est 11:15. The French would not likely say il est 11:15. Most likely it would be il est 11:15. Alright, so a couple of little exceptions to that. They don't often say il est 12 heures for 12 o'clock. If it's noon, they would say il est midi. And if it's midnight, they would say il est minuit. So midi and minuit. I always told people, try to remember that to say it's noon, and noon happens during the daytime. Maybe that can help you to remember that midi is daytime. There's a D in the word midi and a D in the word day. Whereas with minuit, which happens at nighttime, there's an N in the word minuit. And that happens at nighttime, which starts then. So maybe that can help you to keep midi and minuit straight. But midi is 12 p.m., minuit is 12 a.m. So you might want to write that down in your notes. Okay, so to say il est, the number of the hour, the word heure, and the number of minutes is just when the minutes are under 30. If the minutes are over 30, so we're talking like 1:31 to 1:59, there's this formula that you would use. You would still start with il est to say it is, but instead of the number of the hour, you're actually going to say the number of the next hour. The word heure, and then the word moins, which you might remember from the expression plus ou moins, which actually means minus, and then the number of the next hour, because what we're actually saying is it's a number of minutes until the next hour. So it would be like 5 minus 15 if it's 4:45. So 2:40 would literally be, or would actually be, il est 3h moins 20, because you're saying 3 o'clock minus 20, which is what 2:40 is. Yeah, you could say 2h40, but the French are more likely to say il est 3h moins 20 for 2:40. Some exceptions to that, if you're going to say a quarter till, you'll actually say moins le quart, where a quart is used if it's a quarter after. Moins le quart is what you're going to use if it's a quarter till, because you're saying the next hour minus the quarter. So 4:45 would be il est 5h moins le quart. Literally, it's 5 o'clock minus the quarter. Now, the French don't really use AM or PM. That's something that we use in the United States. They prefer military time, so if it's going to be 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they'd actually say 14 heures, where you just add 12 to the 2. But if they're going to specify, they'll use du matin for in the morning, de l'après-midi for in the afternoon, and du soir for in the evening. You might want to practice the pronunciation of those. Du matin, de l'après-midi, and du soir for in the morning, and the afternoon, and in the evening. So to specify 7 o'clock in the morning, they would say 7h du matin, as opposed to 7 o'clock in the evening, 7h du soir. And just to kind of add to this, if you want to say something is at a certain time, you're going to use that little word à there to say, like, for example, the concert is at 7 o'clock, le concert est à 7h. So use à if you want to say something happens at a specific time. Remember, à just by itself means at. Okay, so I have a couple that I would like for you to practice, just because telling time is really, you get better at it with practice. So try saying 2:12, 6:15, which would have that special expression écart, 8:50. Now 50 is more than 30, so you have to use the moins and then the number of minutes for that one, and then 12 p.m. So try those, put those in your notes, and then we'll use those in class and see how well you're doing with telling time. We'll continue to practice this, but make sure you've got really good notes on this. Go back and rewind and copy some things down if you need to. But that's how you would tell time in French. Au revoir les élèves.